Welcome everyone back to Wrestling with Politics. My name is Joel Perez, and today we're going to be discussing some of the controversy behind Donald Trump's massive rally right here in New York City at the historic Madison Square Garden. And surprisingly, it wasn't even Donald Trump who had the most controversial statement at his own rally. It ended up being comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, who performed a stand-up comedy routine at the event with his joke towards Puerto Rico, who ended up ruffling some feathers. We're going to take a look at the joke in this video, and I want you guys to let me know in the comments, does this joke severely offend you? Specifically, if you're Hispanic and especially if you're Puerto Rican, let me know in the comments, does this joke change your mind about voting for Donald Trump? For now, let's see what all the controversy is about, and let's roll the tape and see what comedian Tony Hinchcliffe had to say at Madison Square Garden.
And in Texas, stuff is really, really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies, too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor. Free speech is under attack, people. I host a show, and each week I get updates what words we're allowed to use and not use anymore. It's happening right now the past few years. It's a real thing. And, used to be able to tell people to Google stuff. My mom's a boomer in the state of Ohio, and there's no convincing her of anything. She's eating the cats. She's eating the dogs. They're eating the pets up there. It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
And as a Hispanic man who is married to a Puerto Rican woman, I have to say, in all honest truth, I didn't get what the joke was here, and I didn't even find this joke funny. But am I offended by it? Definitely not. And is anyone who I know offended by this? I don't think so. Because like everyone else, I understand that Tony Hinchcliffe is just an insult comedian, and it is his job to make outrageous jokes and say preposterous things. Sometimes some of those jokes may not land, but if you go back and watch the entire 10-minute comedy set, which I encourage you all to go and do, you will realize that this was just a run-of-the-mill comedy routine. And if you know anything about Tony Hinchcliffe, you would know that he said a lot more outrageous things. And it turns out that the joke, which I didn't understand at first, was referring to the fact that Puerto Rico has a major trash problem. The island generates over 1.3 billion pounds of trash each year. And so Tony Hinchcliffe, when he called Puerto Rico an island of garbage, he wasn't calling the people of Puerto Rico garbage. He was literally referring to the fact that Puerto Rico has a bunch of trash on it. And so now knowing that it was that which Tony Hinchcliffe was referring to, and seeing how the mainstream media tried to spin this as a racist joke, and knowing how all of the powerful politicians who pretended to be so outraged about this aren't going to do anything to actually help Puerto Rico solve this problem, it all makes this even more outrageous. The only people who might be regretting this decision is actually the Trump campaign, who issued an official statement declaring that the campaign does not share all the views reflected in the comedy set. And yes, a political rally might not exactly be the most appropriate place to be making these type of jokes, but I actually think that was the whole point of the joke. If you actually watch the set back, Hinchcliffe was testing the waters to see what type of outrageous things he could get away with saying in the environment he was in. He was doing crowd work, and he didn't just make fun of Puerto Rico, he made fun of everybody because he's a comedian, and that's the whole point. And eventually he ended up making a joke about P. Diddy, which got a tremendous reaction. If anything, the entire controversy over this joke is a testament to the power of the Democratic media machine and how overnight they are able to manufacture outrage because what was just supposed to be a throwaway joke in a stand-up comedy set has now been taken by several mainstream media outlets, and top Democrats like AOC and literal vice presidential nominee Tim Waltz have tried to come out to mobilize Puerto Rican voters against their opponent in this election. They have literally tried to make it seem as if a joke is a racist comment made by Tony Hinchcliffe, and they're attempting to tie Hinchcliffe's comments and his joke to Trump himself. So once again, instead of offering Hispanic voters funding for their schools, instead of offering to create new jobs in Hispanic communities, instead of promising historic investments in Hispanic neighborhoods, all the Democratic Party has to mobilize Hispanic voters like myself against Donald Trump is a comedian making a bad joke. I know we're talking about a joke here, but let's get serious.
These are terrifying.
Absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. No.
Who is that jackwad? Who is that guy?
I actually think that's Tony Hinchcliffe, which is super disappointing. I mean, I don't, he's a comedian. I don't follow
look,
this
Trump,
like
this
crew
issue
very
with Puerto
closely,
Rico
but
again. I saw it. This was when he went down after Helene, the horrific hurricane, people there, everybody coming together. We sent helicopters down from Minnesota and personnel. You know how you do this during this? And in the first hours, Trump complaining about the response. Does anybody remember how he responded to Maria in Puerto Rico? It was absolutely horrific. Down there insulting people, throwing it. Look, I know that the folks who are on here today understand this. People in Puerto Rico are citizens. They pay taxes and they serve in the military at almost a higher rate than anybody else.
yeah, I mean, it's like super upsetting. Obviously, it's super upsetting to me. My family is from Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican. And like the thing that is so messed up that I wish more people understood is that the things that they do in Puerto Rico are a testing ground for the policies and the horrors that they wish to, and that they do unveil in working class communities across the United States. And I need people to understand that when you have some a-hole calling Puerto Rico floating garbage, know that that's what they think about you. That is exactly, like, look, that's just what they think about you. It's what they think about anyone who makes less money than them. It's what they think about the people who serve them food in a restaurant. It's what they think about the people who fold their clothes in a store. Like,
you're
dude,
right.
Are you serious? Like, are you serious?
And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a good listen to that video, because that right there, that's what propaganda looks like and sounds like right there. You witness AOC and Tim Waltz only watch the 10-second clip. And why do they do that? That's because they want to make it seem like this man actually means everything that he says. He's not making jokes. He's being serious, and he's demeaning your country. And this isn't just what he thinks about you. This is what they all think about you. When in reality, the only people who have this burning resentment for the American people are Democrats like AOC and Tim Waltz. Don't believe me? Then listen to the words of the sitting president and leader of the Democratic Party, Joe Biden.
Donald Trump has no character. He doesn't give a damn about the Latino community. He's failed businessman. He only cares about the billionaire friends he has and accumulating wealth for those at the top. He says immigrants are poisoning the blood of our country. Give me a break. He wants to do away with the birthright citizenship. Who the hell has said that in the last 100 years? And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. Well, let me tell you something. I don't know the Puerto Rican that I know, or Puerto Rico where I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done, everything we've been.
So Joe Biden, the current president of the United States, who literally has dementia, and they won't tell you that, but Joe Biden can come out here and label half the country garbage people, not joking, but in serious terms, and I bet you won't hear a peep from AOC or Tim Waltz about that. And as a matter of fact, it's really funny to see the outrage of the entire Democratic Party and the entire news media when a comedian makes a joke. But when Kamala Harris and Joe Biden approve $15 billion to Israel to bomb women and children, nobody is outraged. Nobody has anything to say then. AOC is real quiet then. So give me a break with all this fake outrage, because that's exactly what it is, fake. And as a Dominican American, to any Hispanics or Puerto Ricans out there who are actually falling for this, I want to let you know not to buy into any of this crap, because these people have no room to speak about anything. So my question is, does the Democratic Party really think that being the party that can't take a joke is really going to win over voters? Do they really think that's a good look in 2024? And are there any Puerto Rican Americans who are likely to vote for Donald Trump who are really going to change their mind over this? If you ask me, the type of people who are voting for Donald Trump are tired of the censorship. They're tired of being told what they can and can't say, because that's the opposite of the First Amendment of the Constitution. And that's fundamentally against freedom. You're supposed to be able to say what you want, and if you say something stupid, you get called out for it. But in today's world, you say the wrong thing and you can lose your social accounts. You can lose your job, and most fundamentally, you can lose your ability to speak freely. So my question is that the kind of world that you want to live in? And that's why, if there's one last thing that I wanted to say here before we all vote in the election today, that's one thing. Don't believe the propaganda. There are more than just two options on the ballot in this election, and I'm not just talking about the presidential race either. You don't have to choose between two evils, because there are other independent candidates on the ballot in this election. Like right here in New York, there's independent candidate Diane Sire of the LaRouche Party running for Senate against the corrupt Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand. And there's Jose Vega in the Bronx, who does amazing work pulling up to politicians in their face and letting them know the truth. He's running for Congress against Richie Torres, and it goes without mentioning, if you live in New York, heavily consider writing in the name of the Green Party's Jill Stein. And I want to stress, don't believe anything the corporate news tells you. It's not just Jill Stein running. There's tons of Green Party down ballot candidates also running for Congress. If you live in one of these districts and you're watching this video, I just wanted to stress the fact that we do have other options in this election. And voting for these two corporate parties is not a choice that you have to continue to make. And we will continue to make that argument as much as we can here on this channel. So if that convinces you, For now, you can let me know that in the comments section down below. And you can also make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Wrestling with Politics. And if you want to see more from this YouTube channel, you can watch this video talking about my official prediction for the 2024 election. Thank you for watching this video.